Buffalo, New York, 1980. Rick James walks into Motown with an album that sounds nothing like Diana Ross, nothing like Stevie Wonder, nothing like The Temptations. It's raw, it's funky, it's got rock guitars, punk attitude, and a bass line that'll get sampled 1,000 times.
Here we go. Yeah!
Motown executives hate it. Too edgy, they say. Not Motown's sound. They almost shelve it. Rick releases it anyway. Street Songs goes triple platinum, spawns Super Freak, and becomes one of the biggest selling albums in Motown history. And it's not even in the top 5. I'm about to show you 10 albums that didn't just sell. They changed everything.
Boy, you turned me in.
Number 10. People, Hold On, Eddie Kendricks, 1973. Los Angeles, Hitsville West Studios, early 1973. Eddie Kendricks stands at the microphone, his falsetto smooth as silk, his confidence sky high. He just walked away from The Temptations, one of Motown's biggest groups, and everyone's watching to see if he can make it solo. Eddie had been with The Temptations since 1960, delivering hits like My Girl and Just My Imagination. But creative tensions were mounting, and by 1971, Eddie made the bold choice to leave. Motown gave him a shot. Now he had to prove himself. People. Hold On is Eddie's declaration of independence. The lead single, Keep On Truckin', isn't just catchy, it's a cultural moment. That mid-tempo groove, that bass line, those hand claps, it becomes a #1 hit and defines the early 70s funk soul crossover sound. Now Frank Wilson produces the album, blending soul, funk, and early disco elements. Eddie doesn't just sing, he glides. His voice is delicate but commanding, proving he wasn't just a temptation. He was Eddie Kendricks. The album sells over 1 million copies, going platinum and establishing Eddie as a solo star. Keep On Truckin' gets sampled for decades. Everyone from Dr. Dre to Snoop Dogg lifts that groove. Why does this album matter? And why does it prove Motown's evolution? Because Eddie took the sophisticated soul of the 60s and injected it with the funk and freedom of the 70s. People, Hold On wasn't looking back. It was stepping forward confidently on its own terms. That's why it endures. Number 9, Where There's Smoke, Smokey Robinson, 1979. Detroit, United Sound Systems, late 1978. Smokey Robinson sits at the piano, writing what will become one of the most romantic songs of the decade. He's been Motown royalty for nearly 20 years, but now he's redefining himself, again. Smokey had led the Miracles since 1955, writing and producing hits for himself and others. Shop Around, The Tracks of My Tears, Tears of a Clown. The man was a hit-making machine. But by the late 70s, he'd gone solo, and the industry was changing. Disco was fading. Quiet Storm was rising. Where There's Smoke captures that shift perfectly. The lead single, Cruisin', is a masterclass in seduction. Slow, sensual, effortless. Smokey's voice, still as smooth as velvet, floats over lush arrangements. Once it becomes a #4 pop hit and a #1 R&B smash. The album itself is a mature, sophisticated statement. It's not chasing trends, it's setting them. Quiet Storm Radio, those late-night, low-tempo playlists, owes everything to songs like this. Smokey blends traditional Motown melody with adult contemporary soul, where their smoke goes platinum, reminding the world why Berry Gordy once called Smokey the greatest living poet in America. The album's success proves that artistry and authenticity don't age, they refine. Why does this album prove soul is timeless? Because Smokey didn't reinvent himself by abandoning his essence. He evolved. He took the emotional depth of classic Motown and dressed it in modern production. 40-plus years later, Cruisin' is still the ultimate slow jam. That's not luck, that's genius. Number 8, Street Songs, Rick James, 1981. Buffalo, New York, Motown Recording Studios, 1980. Rick James walks in with an attitude, a vision, and zero interest in playing by the rules.
Once you get her off the street, oh girl.
He's already been told he's too raw, too rock, too funky for traditional Motown. He doesn't care.
She will never let your spirits down.
Rick had been around the block, literally. He'd fled to Toronto to avoid the draft, formed a rock band, tried multiple labels.
Read about that girl is pretty.
By the time Motown signed him in 1977, he was hungry, restless, and ready to explode.
Girl is pretty wild now. Girl's a super freak. The kind of girl.
His earlier albums had moderate success, but Street Songs was different. This was Rick Unleashed.
She's a super freak.
The album is a punk-funk manifesto. Give It To Me, Baby is aggressive, sexual, unapologetic. Then comes Super Freak, a song so iconic it becomes the foundation for MC Hammer's You Can't Touch This.
In a limousine.
A decade later, that bass line, those backing vocals, my pure fire.
Yeah, she'll wait for me and backstage with a girlfriend.
Rick produced the album himself, playing multiple instruments and collaborating with his band, the Stone City Band. The sound is raw, edgy, a fusion of funk, new wave, and rock that Motown had never fully embraced before.
Put your hands together, yeah.
Street Songs goes triple platinum, selling over 3 million copies. It peaks at number 3 on the Billboard 200 and dominates R&B charts for months. Rick James becomes a superstar, flamboyant, controversial, undeniable. Why does this album matter? And why does it prove Motown could evolve? Because Rick James forced Motown out of its comfort zone. Street Songs wasn't polished supreme soul. It was gritty, funky, rebellious, and it worked. It proved that Motown could still innovate, still take risks. That's why it's legendary. Number 7, Commodores. The Commodores, 1977. Tuskegee, Alabama, 1968. 6 students at Tuskegee Institute form a band. They call themselves the Commodores, and they have one dream: make it in music.
She's mighty, mighty.
By 1977, they're Motown stars, and they're about to release the album that defines them.
Ow, she's a brick. Ow.
The Commodores had signed with Motown in 1972 after impressing at a New York showcase.
She knows she's got everything.
They'd spent years touring, opening for the Jackson 5, honing their craft. They were known for funk, tight, danceable grooves.
That a woman needs to get a man.
But Lionel Richie, the group's co-lead and primary songwriter, had another gear: ballads. Commodores is the perfect balance.
That's a fact. Ain't holding nothing back. Oh, she's up.
Brick House is a funk anthem. Powerful bass, horns, attitude. It's raw, it's fun, it's a party.
House. Oh, like ladies.
Then comes Easy, a tender, achingly beautiful ballad written and sung by Lionel. It's a number 4 pop hit and becomes a slow dance staple.
Make a old man wish for younger.
James Anthony Carmichael produces the album, giving it a polished, radio-ready sound. The group plays their own instruments, writes their own songs, and brings authenticity that resonates across demographics. The album goes multi-platinum, selling millions and establishing the Commodores as crossover superstars.
House. I like.
They're not just an R&B act, they're pop, they're funk, they're soul, they're everything.
My dad just letting it all hang out.
Why does this album prove Motown's versatility? Because the Commodores showed that soul could be funky and tender, raw and polished, party and poetry. Commodores didn't choose one lane, it owned them all. And that's why it still resonates today.
House. Yeah, she's the one.
Before we go any further, take a second with me. If these songs are bringing back memories, if you're hearing voices you haven't thought about in years, that's exactly what Groove Lens is here for. We don't rush the music, we don't skip the stories, we let the soul breathe. So if this journey through 1964 is hitting home, subscribe now. Because the deeper we go into the years ahead, the stories only get richer. And trust me, the next few songs don't just sound good, they mean something. Now, let's keep going.
Number 6, Lionel Richie, 1982.
That I have your heart.
Los Angeles, 1982.
Tell me only this. That
Lionel Richie is standing at a crossroads. He's been with the Commodores for over a decade, writing hits, touring the world. But he wants more. He wants to see if he can do it alone.
whispering the word.
Lionel had been the Commodore's secret weapon, writing Easy, 3 Times a Lady, Sail On. His voice was smooth, his melodies effortless. But going solo was risky. Motown had seen group members fail before. Lionel needed to prove he was different.
I will be your.
His self-titled debut is a masterclass in sophistication. Truly is the lead single, a sweeping romantic ballad that hits #1 on the pop charts.
I'll give you all the joy my heart.
Then comes You Are, another tender love song that becomes a top 5 hit. Every track feels polished, intentional, timeless.
I need to have you near me.
Lionel co-produces the album with James Anthony Carmichael, not crafting a sound that's adult contemporary without losing soul. It's radio-friendly but never shallow.
And so can get.
The production is lush, strings, synths, layered vocals, but Lionel's voice always cuts through.
This love will last.
The album goes triple platinum, selling over 3 million copies in the US alone. It establishes Lionel as a solo superstar and sets the stage for even bigger success. Why does this album prove soul evolves without losing its essence? Because Lionel took the emotional honesty of classic soul and dressed it in modern, sophisticated production.
Head over heels with your love.
He didn't abandon his roots, he built on them. Lionel Richie is proof that soul can be timeless and contemporary at once.
You know you all right.
Number 5, Natural High, The Commodores, 1978. Motown Studios, Los Angeles, 1978. The Commodores are riding high. They've had hits, toured relentlessly, and proven they can blend funk and soul.
To the
But now, Lionel Richie hands the group a ballad he's written, and everything changes. The song is 3 Times a Lady. It's a waltz, a format almost unheard of in R&B. Lionel wrote it as a tribute to his mother and grandmother, and it's dripping with sincerity. The group records it, unsure if it'll connect. It does, massively.
And I love
3 Times a Lady becomes a #1 pop hit and the best-selling Motown single in the UK at that time. It's played at weddings, anniversaries, and slow dances around the world.
and I love
The Commodores, known for funk, suddenly have a crossover ballad smash. But Natural High isn't just ballads. Now, tracks like Flying High and the title track keep the funk alive. The album balances tenderness with groove, romance with rhythm. Produced by James Anthony Carmichael and the Commodores themselves,
to touch.
Natural High goes multi-platinum, selling millions worldwide. It cements the group's status as one of Motown's most bankable acts of the late 70s.
Us apart.
Why does this album matter? Because it proved that soul artists didn't have to choose between credibility and commercial success.
There's nothing to keep us.
Natural High was both authentic and massively popular. That's rare. That's special. That's why it endures. Number 4. Let's Get It On. Marvin Gaye, 1973. Los Angeles, Hitsville West, 1973. Marvin Gaye is at a peak, creatively, commercially, emotionally. What's Going On had established him as a socially conscious genius. But now he wants to explore something else: intimacy. Marvin had spent years singing love songs, but What's Going On changed the game. It was political, spiritual, urgent.
Since we got to be here.
The label wondered, could he go back to romance? Marvin's answer, not back, forward. Let's Get It On is sensual in a way Motown had never been. The title track is slow, seductive, layered with lush strings and Marvin's voice, pleading, tender, intimate. It's about physical love, yes, but also emotional connection. It's grown-up soul. Marvin co-produces with Ed Townsend, crafting arrangements that blend soul, funk, and jazz. Every note feels intentional. On songs like Come Get to This and You Sure Love to Ball, push boundaries, but never feel cheap. They feel honest. The album sells over 4 million copies in the US alone. The title track hits #1 and becomes one of the most iconic love songs in history. Let's Get It On doesn't just sell. It changes the conversation about what R&B can address. Why does this album prove soul is eternal? Because Marvin took the genre's emotional depth and applied it to intimacy without losing artistry. Let's Get It On isn't just sexy, it's sophisticated. 50 years later, it's still the gold standard for sensual soul. That's not dated, that's timeless. Number 3, Diana Ross, 1980.
I said upside down, you're turning.
New York City, The Power Station, 1980. Diana Ross sits across from Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards, the masterminds behind Chic.
Me inside out and round.
Motown wants a hit. Diana wants reinvention. This collaboration is about to deliver both.
Upside down, boy, you turn.
Diana had been a superstar since the Supremes in the 60s. Solo, she'd had hits, Oscars nominations, Vegas residencies.
Down, Boy, you turn me in.
But by 1980, the sound was shifting. Disco was fading. Pop-funk was rising. Diana needed to evolve.
No one makes me feel like you do. Upside.
Niall and Bernard bring their signature sound. Tight bass, funky guitar, polished production.
You're all mine. As long as the
Diana brings her voice, her star power, her willingness to take risks. The result is Diana, sleek, modern, irresistible.
inside and round.
Upside Down becomes a #1 hit with a bass line that's pure Chic magic. And then comes I'm Coming Out,
And round, up.
an anthem of self-empowerment that becomes a rallying cry, especially in LGBTQ+ communities. It's joyful, defiant, liberating.
Instinctively you give to me the love.
The album goes multi-platinum worldwide, selling millions and proving Diana Ross could dominate any era. It's a reinvention without abandoning her essence. Still glamorous, still powerful, but contemporary.
Upside down. Boy,
Why does this album prove Motown could innovate? Because Diana didn't rest on legacy. At 36, she reinvented her sound, embraced new producers, and delivered one of the best albums of her career.
you turn me inside and
Diana is proof that soul artists can evolve, adapt, and still dominate. That's why it's unforgettable.
I say to thee respectfully, upside down your
Number 2, Songs in the Key of Life. Stevie Wonder, 1976. Los Angeles, Crystal Sound Studios, 1976. Stevie Wonder has been working on this album for 2 years. It's a double album. Ambitious, sprawling, risky. Motown is nervous. Stevie is confident. He knows this is special. Stevie had renegotiated his contract in 1971, gaining full creative control.
But you can tell right away that's the way when the people.
The result had been a run of masterpieces. Music of My Mind, Talking Book, Inner Visions, Fulfillingness First Finale. But Songs in the Key of Life was meant to be the pinnacle. The album is massive, 21 tracks across 4 sides. It's soul, funk, jazz, gospel, pop, all woven together. Sir Duke is a tribute to Duke Ellington. Horns blaring, rhythm infectious. Isn't She Lovely celebrates Stevie's newborn daughter with pure joy. Jeunesse is a love song that stretches to nearly 7 minutes of bliss. Stevie plays most of the instruments himself, writes every song, produces every track. It's a tour de force of vision and execution. The album debuts at #1 on the Billboard 200. Rare for any album, unprecedented for a double album. Songs in the Key of Life sells over 10 million copies in the US alone. It wins the Grammy for Album of the Year. Critics call it one of the greatest albums ever made, not just in soul, in music. Why does this album prove soul is eternal? Because Stevie didn't just make a soul album, he made art. He took every influence, every emotion, every idea, and poured it into a cohesive, transcendent statement. 50 years later, it's still studied, celebrated, revered. That's not nostalgia, that's genius. Number 1, Can't Slow Down. Lionel Richie, 1983. Los Angeles, Ocean Way Studios, 1983. Lionel Richie is coming off a successful solo debut, but he knows the real test is the follow-up. Can he avoid the sophomore slump? Can he go bigger? The answer is a resounding yes. Lionel had proven himself with Lionel Richie, But Can't Slow Down was about domination. He co-produces with James Anthony Carmichael, crafting an album that's polished, diverse, and irresistibly catchy. Every song feels like a potential single. All Night Long, All Night kicks things off, a jubilant Caribbean-influenced party anthem that becomes a global smash. Then comes Hello, a sweeping ballad with one of the most iconic music videos of the 80s. Stuck on You, Penny Lover, Running with the Night, hit after hit. The album isn't just successful, it's a phenomenon. Now, it spends 59 weeks in the top 10 of the Billboard 200. It wins the Grammy for Album of the Year in 1985, beating out Prince's Purple Rain and Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA. Can't Slow Down sells over 20 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling albums of the entire decade, and Motown's crowning commercial achievement of the 70s and 80s. Why will this album never die? And why does it prove soul music is eternal? Because Lionel Richie took the emotional core of soul, romance, joy, vulnerability, and crafted it into perfect pop songs without losing authenticity. Can't Slow Down was sophisticated, global, timeless. It wasn't soul looking backward. It was pushing forward, reaching everyone, everywhere. 40 years later, these songs still soundtrack weddings, parties, and lives. That's not nostalgia. That's genuine timelessness. That's proof that soul is eternal.